Wait, what? Control views? Backups? Workflows? Oh, we gotta check this out. Greetings Internet, it's Dustin again with my HomeKit Home, back again with another one for you. In this video we have another app review for you. This time we're looking at Controller for HomeKit. Now this is a third-party HomeKit app, but it's not associated with any HomeKit accessory. So a lot of times we'll see manufacturers come out with their own apps that allow for some added features as well as some software updates, some firmware updates. But this is actually solely dedicated to the HomeKit user experience. So what we'll do is we'll kind of go through the app and see what it has to offer, look at some of the good things, maybe look at some of the bad things, and at the end I'll give you my general opinion on the app. So we've got a lot to cover today, let's get into it. And here we are in the App Store and the Controller for HomeKit app. As you can see, it's got a pretty good rating, solid 3.9, so that's pretty good. Now it does have some new features that were recently added to the app, and it kind of changed the way that it is kind of functioning in terms of a subscription, but it's not really a subscription. So some of the new features do include backups, and backups is a paid service, but I think it's well worth the actual service, and we'll look at that in a future video. But we also get access to unlimited control views, which we'll look at control views here in a moment, and we'll also get access to unlimited workflows as well. As it stands now, those two are both limited to 3 with the free version. Regardless of which version you choose, if you choose the free version or the paid version, you have a really powerful app on your hands. We can see through some of our panes here, it's a very simple design. The color scheme is pretty standard, I would say, and the colors are used in a very specific way. If we look down here at our description of the app, we get a bit more information about what the different parts of the app are, with the control view, the overview, the logs, the workflows, the backups, etc. And we'll go through all of that in this video. But I think the rest of this you guys can go ahead and read for yourselves, read through the reviews, and kind of make an informed decision there. Let's get into the app itself. Now, launching into the app, by default we land on the overview screen, which is a fantastic screen, and we'll get to that. But I want to back up a little bit and kind of give you an overview of how the app works in general. So the app is essentially following the HomeKit structure. So it starts at the home level. And one of the great things about the home level here is that we can add a new home, of course. We have all of these, kind of extra features, or not extra features, I guess they would be more standard features that we would have. But what we can do at the home level is, as you can see there at the top, we have a search bar. So we can search through our home for anything that we might want. Here we also have workflows, which are some really pretty complex automations, and we can look at that, and we can look at some of the different steps that we can add to a workflow, kind of based on more of the Siri shortcut route. And we will go into this in a future video, so stay tuned for that one if this is something that you're interested in. But we can do things like pause actions. So for example, we can say unlock the door for a minute, or we can have actions happen in the future. So we can say something like turn the lights on at 6 p.m. or different things like that that can really help to fine-tune your automation setup. We can also execute these not only with buttons inside the app, but we can also do this with Siri shortcuts as well. So that's a pretty unique and I think a really powerful feature of Controller for HomeKit. So going back to our home, and here's another really great example of the simple design. All we do is just go back. right? There's no flipping between different tabs and things. We just go back to the next higher level. So also with controller, of course, we can set up scenes, and of course it ports in all of your home data if you would allow it to, of course, at the beginning. And of course we can add a scene, but there's nothing new there. And if you need to know how to do that, you've got a link in the iCard above and in the description box that'll show you how to do that. We've also got some basic automations here, but not only are they basic automations, but we can do a lot of things like we can do an for HomeKit app or the Home 3 app, such as temperature-based automations and a lot of things that I believe we'll actually see coming in iOS 13, and we'll be covering all of the changes and all of that in an upcoming video as well. Compared to other apps, I really do enjoy setting up automations in controller. I know it sounds a bit strange, but the layout is it's so simple, and the color scheme is, it's easy to see. Everything just looks very, very clean, and I really appreciate that, especially as you're kind of trying to concentrate on what actions you want to happen at what times and what people home and all of these things. So I really appreciate that. So backing out back to our home, of course, right, just by hitting that back button, we'll go now to our accessories, and of course, well, this is pretty self-explanatory. We have all of our accessories here. And of course, like we mentioned earlier, you can search for those at the home level. And we also have all of the services. So the services are all the different things that your devices do, right? So your smart plug just isn't a smart plug. It's also can turn on, it can turn off. It may have power monitoring, which controller for HomeKit is notorious for being able to tap into things like power monitoring and be able to bring those into HomeKit and use those in automations and workflows also. So if that's something that you're into, you might consider picking up the controller for HomeKit app. Right? So we also have the standard. We can go into our rooms, which is another pretty regular feature, but it's good to have there. I don't think I'll be using rooms or zones, groups. I don't know that I would even set them up in the controller for HomeKit app, but it's good to know they're there in case you're in the app and you're kind of going through things. That's a good thing to have. Now the backups, right, and our logs. These are two things that we need to talk about. Backups is a pro feature, and you are able to actually back up all of your HomeKit data, right? So if you have different HomeKit setups and automations and scenes and things for different seasons, that's got you covered. If you've ever accidentally removed an automation while you were trying to adjust another one, that's got you covered. That, for me, in and of itself, is worth the pro price. It's not that bad of a price either. The log feature, it's kind of a beta feature. Kind of gives you a kind of chronological, step-by-step walkthrough of what's going on with your devices in your home. Now, I mentioned the overview feature at the beginning of the video, and here it is. So essentially what our overview is it's a set of what we call control views. And what these control views are, the different groups of actions. Right? So we can see here that we've got a battery control view, we've got an actions control view, power state. So what we can do is we can have all of our smart plugs from the entire home in one control view. Right? And as it stands, in the free version of the app, you are allowed to have 3 control views, but unlimited with the pro version of the app. Another difference between the basic version and the pro version is the number of homes that are included in the app. With the basic version, you are only able to look at logs and backup. Well, you can't back up because you don't have the pro version. But if you wanted to add automations or workflows and those sorts of things, it can only happen with your primary home. Whereas with the pro version, you can do this for any number of homes that you may have connected and under your control. Now, before we call it a day here, there is one other part that I wanted to look at, and that is the settings. So once we tap that back button a few different times, we'll get to our settings, and we can see that we have a few different things here. We can reach out to the developer if we need to, if we are having any issues with the app, or if we just have some, some suggestions. Reach out to your developers. They are people too. They're, most of the time, in my experience anyways, they're very willing to help and really receptive to any suggestions that you may have for improving the app. We can also, of course, we can buy the upgraded version, which I do recommend, but it is your choice at the end of the day. We can also choose how the app loads, so if it loads to the overview screen or how it loads there. We can also adjust the units in terms of Celsius and Fahrenheit, and we have just kind of some standard user management, calendar synchronization, all of those sorts of things. As you saw in the walkthrough, this is a pretty unique app in the HomeKit space. So it's less focused on the kind of day-to-day, on the fly interactions, and more kind of focused on your automations, right? Your workflows, your scenes, right? Your information, right? So this is really kind of a higher level, more advanced information-based app, which I kind of enjoy. This is not my daily driver, right? I use the app, once or twice a week, anytime that I'm trying to set up a new automation or I'm trying to make things just a bit easier in terms of information. That's when I would use this app. Any other times I'm using some widgets, or I'm using Control Center for just kind of on the fly HomeKit management. But I typically stick to automations and try and actually not to use any app at all on a daily basis. So I did mention widgets, and that's one of the things that I would improve about this app is I would add widgets. The Home 3 app does a great job of adding widgets to the Today view, so we can just swipe over and we have the widgets available to us, so I'd like to see some integration with that. Also, we saw in the walkthrough that there is the log feature, which is a fantastic idea, and I have really no idea why Apple hasn't integrated this yet. But what I would like to see is kind of bringing all of those things together, right? So I've got tons of smart plugs that all do power monitoring, and I have lots of temperature sensors, but I want to see where all of these things fit together, right? I don't want to have to go through different apps and look at just that accessory. I want something that brings them all together, and I think this is one of those areas where Controller for HomeKit might be able to improve this experience. But as I mentioned, this is an incredibly powerful app, and it's definitely worth the upgrade to the Pro version of the app if you're one of those more advanced users that needs this extra functionality. And it's never a bad idea to help out the developers and kind of keep the HomeKit community going. So do you have a favorite app for creating more advanced HomeKit automations or scenes? Let us know in the comments down below. Also below the video in the description box, you'll find links to all of the things that we talked about in this video today, as well as all of our social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as the blog over at myhomekithome.com. As always, if you found the video useful, give us a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already for more HomeKit content. Hit that bell notification if you want to be notified whenever we release new videos. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. I do thank you for watching, and until I see you in the next one, this has been Dustin with My HomeKit Home.